SH Figuarts Boba Fett from The Mandalorian Season 2 with that repaint armor. There's a lot to like about this figure, but there are definitely some things I dislike, so let's get into this review.
DorkLair!
Generally speaking, I think the aesthetic of this iteration of Boba Fett matches perfectly with SH Figuarts style, which is crisp, clean paints. They don't do a ton of like dirtied, weather up stuff. And this fresh coat of paint that's on the character at this point in the episode or in the series is perfectly matched for SH Figuarts. And I think they kind of nailed it in terms of the armor parts. The cloth goods still need some work. They're still not great with the cloth goods, although this is some of the better work that they have done. It's just that a lot of other companies are just doing way better soft goods than SH Figuarts, at least that I've seen so far. So a little bit of improvement on that would be great. And he comes with a ton of accessories with a lot of fun options. He's got an alternate head sculpt that is kind of lacking, but overall pretty decent figure. Starting us off with a little zoom into the helmet, you can get a look at all the details here, the paint work. Very crisp. There is some weathering. You can kind of see like there's some places where the paint has been chipped off and there's like silver underneath. You've got a functional range finder here. And get a look at the back of the head. Here's the back of the armor. It does kind of ride out when you push him forward. Like I feel like, I don't know, it just kind of sticks out of the back there. But that might just be how it is. I'm not a stickler for accuracy, so if I'm not pointing out inaccuracies, I apologize. That's not the goal of my channel. But you can get a look at the little details throughout here. I do wish the black underneath, which is supposed to be like his cloth, I wish that was a little less shiny. It's not shiny. It's kind of in between matte. Maybe it's like a satin finish, but I wish that was fully flat because I think it would match up with the cloth that's, you know, supposed to be all one piece. If that was a little flatter, that might be better. Here's a good look at his gauntlet here. Belt with all sorts of little paint details going on. And then his other gauntlet. Brown painted on the fingertips there. No paint on the back of the gloves. I'm not sure if that's accurate or not, but again, doesn't really bother me if it isn't. These cables or tubes or whatever are separate pieces. So I would say, you know, be careful there. They're sort of glued in up top and then they're glued in down here. So that might be a little bit of a concern if you're getting into a lot of like very dynamic poses with him. This particular holstered gun is sculpted in and there's a piece that you can swap out. And then we can take a look at how he is legs underneath. He's got those yellow knee pads and then the strap sort of holding down the holster. And then a look at the boots as well. Bottom of the boots have some treads and sort of like a strap for the way the pants come down over there. Overall, I think this is a great looking figure until we put the alternate head on, and we're going to take a look at that in a little bit. Here's a quick look at the box. You can see it's your typical SH Figuarts packaging, and it has, you know, that kind of gold embossing on the front, picture of the figure on the side, some other images of the figure and accessories on the back, and then, you know, you have the logos on the sides and the top. And then inside this one, I think this is the thing that's different. Usually it's just like a color or maybe a pattern, but this one's got a picture of Slave 1 in the back. Kind of a neat little like backdrop there with Slave 1. Next up, let's take a look at Boba Fett next to a few other action figures. I apologize. I've been cutting way back on my 6-inch Star Wars, and I've actually sold off some stuff, and some stuff is just packed up and put away. And so I don't have a lot to compare it to right now, but I do have a few things. So let's get started. First up, we have a couple SH Figuarts figures. On the left, we have the Return of the Jedi Boba Fett, and on the right, we have the Mandalorian from the same wave, that is the Season 2 Mando. And now we have a couple other Boba Fetts. On the left is the Empire Strikes Back Mafex Boba Fett, and on the right is the Tamashii Nation's Samurai Boba Fett. And finally, a couple other random lines. On the left is an Action Force figure, and on the right is a Mafex Batman. For accessory, he does come with a jetpack that just pegs into the back right here. And there is a little bit of weathering detail on that thing. Pretty neat way they did the jetpack is you can pop these thrusters off. They're on a ball peg. And then you can stick the effects thrusters in there. And those can kind of move around depending on how you want to pose it. And so those look pretty cool on there. You know, usually I think SH Figuarts is just going too far with the way they kind of assemble things. And they just overcomplicate everything. But This is actually pretty simple, pretty straightforward, not bad alternative to having the effects peg in. A couple other options with the jetpack. You can pull this rocket out and then stick this alternate version in there, or you can extend it and have this piece here extending one of the rockets out like this. So you can have your rocket firing Boba Fett. Comes with a nicely detailed rifle that fits really well in his hands. He's got special gripping hands for it. And then he's got a swap out gun and holster so that you can have him holding the pistol with the empty holster. And again, kind of overcomplicating things. They could have just made a holster where the gun could go in, but it's not too bad with this figure. For hands, he comes with a pair of gripping hands that can double as pointing hands. These are essentially the trigger hands for the guns. Cupping hands for grabbing the barrel of the rifle, and gesturing hands for action poses or maybe a slightly relaxed pose. And of course, he's got the fists that are on the figure right now. Another neat little thing he comes with is that he's got that chain code that he showed Mando in the previous episode, and that piece pegs in just like this into that wrist guard. Finally, he comes with his alternate head sculpt, which actually would look pretty good if it weren't for his ridiculously crooked eye. And this is not an issue with just my figure. I've seen a lot of people who have the same issue. I think it's just a widespread issue. I don't think there's any, I haven't seen any actually that have a straight eye. His left eye is completely crooked. So yeah, I mean, that's a huge letdown. And actually, this head sculpt, you know, in the proper lighting and stuff, it looks kind of good, and I actually would enjoy it, but that eyeball is just ridiculous. And so, yeah, I mean, it's just a no-go for me on this alternate head. And this is the thing that kind of takes it down a notch. It was, you know, it would have been an awesome thing to get a great head sculpt of Tim Morrison in this SH Figuarts line, but unfortunately, that eye is just painted completely wrong. And you know, I guess maybe if I were good at painting, I could fix it, but yeah, pretty big letdown on that head sculpt. Finally, for articulation, we have that rangefinder that can swing up and down. And then we have the neck articulation, which has quite a bit of range, but it gets stuck by this collar piece that's supposed to be part of his fabric. If you were to pop that off, actually, you can get a lot of extra range of motion, quite a bit. So if you're okay with kind of having him just without it, I think it doesn't look too bad actually without it. But yeah, if you want that on there, it's going to really limit things. Butterfly joint that moves up and down, and it also moves forward and back. And then you have a ball joint at the top of the shoulder there that can twist and bring his arms almost into a T. You can twist at the top of the shoulder. You can twist at the bicep really smoothly. The elbow has that single joint that can come up this far. On this side, I'd be careful. I kind of, when I articulate this right elbow, move these tubes sort of up, and then it moves a little more easily. I would be a little nervous about those ripping or stretching or something. You can twist a little bit at the elbow. You can twist it at the wrist, and then he's got the sort of ball hinge type thing going on there, so you can get it into whatever angle you want. There's a lot of great motion in the torso. It's not extreme, but there's, you know, it's very smooth, and there's a lot of different angles you can kind of work it into there. You can arch back quite a bit, arch forward. If you tuck that armor under the belt, you can get him forward about that far. There's no drop down hips, but you can kick his knee out pretty far, and you can swing it back quite a bit. You can twist at the top of the leg. Sort of got that like scissor joint that gives him, even though it's a single joint, the range is beyond 90. There's no twist at the boot, but you can twist at the ankle, and then there's some ankle rocker. He can point his feet down a little bit, and he can point up, and he's got that toe articulation as well. Overall, I like the figure quite a bit. I am pretty happy with it. Of course, this alternate head sculpt is pretty much horrible because of that eye. Other than that, I think it's a pretty good release, and it's got a lot of fun accessories that you can play around with. And until next time, may the Force be with you.